Hello, I'm Toycat, and this right here used to be a giant iceberg biome. And I say used to be because it's a past tense, because I've destroyed the entire iceberg biome using a silk touch pickaxe over the course of dozens of hours, and I took all of the ice, packed ice, and blue ice, and put it in these boxes right here, these barrels right here, and then from there I put it into shulker boxes and carried it to the rest of my world, mostly so I could make the blue ice floating islands, like you can see right here, and of course to make the blue ice pathway which is attached to it. There is over 3,000 blocks of blue ice I put into this giant pathway into the sky, and it's a super fun little thing. It was a good use of resources in my opinion, but the great thing about destroying an entire biome is even giant projects like this don't use up all of the ice entirely. And personally, I don't like this part of my Nether very much, even though it has a Nether fortress, which is kind of cool I guess, because it's so rough and messy, and there's just a giant sea of lava surrounded on all sides, which defeats the funness of having an icy biome in my opinion. So that's why I figured, rather than just letting this stand, why not use the fact that packed ice and blue ice, as you can see right here, do not melt inside of the Nether. In fact, even regular ice won't melt in the Nether if you don't put it anywhere near fire or lava blocks. Why don't I use the ice, the blue ice, and the packed ice that I have left over anyway, and why don't I terraform a little bit of my Nether and make this area extra icy? That's right, I'm starting another survival project video so that you can see every single step of the survival project and the kind of progress that happens, because I love seeing Minecraft progress slowly happen, and maybe you enjoy seeing the same, because right now we have a messy portal. I mean, it's literally located right here. We have a messy portal on top of a messy fortress and a messy part of the Nether. Look at this right here, and I want to improve that, and I want to make the experience in the Nether, at least the part of this, but that links to the icy islands, I want to make that part of the Nether a more enjoyable, easier, and less dangerous process. Obviously, it's going to be me taking a lot of the packed ice that I have left over in some of these barrels and putting it into my shulker boxes, as you can see right here, so that I have easy access to a lot more resources without having to move back and forth all the time. This is the wonder of shulker boxes. The logical first place to begin is to protect the entrance between this Nether portal right here, which I think is a reasonable location for it to stay, as long as we make access to it a bit better, because from the pathway right now we have to go all the way forwards through here to the left, and then up here to the left, and then to the right. It's a lot of direction changing for something that doesn't really need to be there. So instead what I'm going to do is I'm going to cover this part of the Nether fortress in some ice. I guess we use packed ice because it's better for boats, and it's for now it's going to be an easier resource to use. It allows us to go with ice if we want a lighter block, but we can cover this in packed ice just like this. So we'll have Nether brick underneath, then packed ice above, and then on the sides we'll have the same thing going on. We'll have like a duplicate version of the Nether fortress on top of it, and this way we can have full protection from the elements over here, which for the 6 of you that have never been in a Nether fortress looks something like this. As you can see, it's like 4 blocks high, it's 3 blocks wide, it kind of meanders a few times, and then it has a few little windows, but they aren't actually windows. Quite essentially, because they're using fences, even though you can see out of them, you won't be attacked by ghasts through them, which is quite a handy thing. So I want to replicate this exact same thing, but above the Nether fortress, above the Nether fortress, so that it looks like it's kind of a frozen version, like a mirrored version, but made from ice instead. So what we're going to do is we're going to have, packed ice be our floor blocks, packed ice be our wall blocks as well, because we have to have those match like on the inside. But then what we can do is we can replicate this exact same pattern up here, and instead of using fences, because sadly there's no packed ice fence just yet, we can use ice and achieve pretty much the same effect. Again, we can see out there, however, despite the fact that we can see out, we can see there's gravel, there's soul sand, there's lava, it doesn't count as a direct line of sight, which means we won't get fireballed by ghasts, and more importantly, if a blaze somehow gets there or whatever else, it won't become an issue for us. So it's effectively a sealed off corridor, but instead of being fully sealed off, like it otherwise would be, instead we'll be able to see outside, and it's a little bit less like a scary icebox in the sky. And yeah, again, the only key condition is that we need to make sure these ice windows stay away from fire. Everything else we can leave in the Nether just fine. I said we need to leave it away from fire, and it turns out there's fire just outside, which is why, pro tip, we're gonna kick out or put out the fire, and look at me, I'm a hero. I prevent forest fires, or I guess ice palace fires. But yeah, we just want to repeat the exact same pattern that we've done up there. Again, duplicating the fortress, but on top of itself effectively, and this time made out of ice, until we get over to here, and then we need to link it back to my main pathway a bit better, because the reason this exists, in case you're curious, is I have a big, long, directly straight pathway going through my Nether. It actually goes something like 80,000 blocks that way, although it gets way less clear as we go along, but it exists so I have a straight back and forth between all the Nether portals in my world, and therefore I need to connect this to my Nether portal much better, which means I'm going to line this up, which should be easy. And now we can end up with this nice little, again, packed ice, just to show that this is going to the ice islands. I want to kind of have the exits to the pathway be clear where we're going. We can have this kind of packed ice pathway that slowly goes down, that we could walk down if we really wanted to, but either way, it's going to lead us directly into the Nether Fortress, or on top of the Nether Fortress, the icy Nether Fortress we've just made right here. And also, it will allow us, if we really want to, because one of the cool benefits of using this much ice is you better believe the fastest way to get around it is using boat. Which means if I really want to, I can now reach my Nether portal by boat. Yeah, look at this beauty right here. I can slide right through my Nether portal and even past it if I really want to. And get this, now that I've got that in place, I can actually have a way to go through my Nether portal, because right now I obviously can go on this side of the Nether portal, but I don't have any real need to because it's so ugly and disconnected. But that's despite the fact that we have a blaze spawner up there. That's despite the fact, you know, that we have like an actual Nether fortress right here with one that's not even that far away in the other direction. If you're curious, about a couple hundred blocks that way, we have a second Nether fortress, a rare sighting of two of them together. And in Minecraft Bedrock, you really need to have your fortresses close together because there's a spawning bug with wither skeletons. It's hard to find them basically. So the fact that I have one over here and then just a little bit further this way, we have a second unrelated stronghold, although this one is a really, really weird place for it. The fact that we have them this close together is something worth celebrating, and you know what the best way to celebrate something is? With a bunch of ice being built in the Nether. Also, I should not go back up there. So hopefully now you can see what the point of this is all kind of building up to. It's going to be a blue ice pathway in the Nether, or rather a packed ice pathway. It's like a few % slower, I'll admit, but you know, better for, you know, building resources. It looks a bit better in my opinion with this kind of a vibe. But as well as being that, it's also going to be access to my you know, Nether portal from my main, you know, kind of spur. It's going to be an easy way to access that and even do it faster if I want to, because you can even run faster on this. It's going to be access to that, and then also it's going to be travel between two different Nether fortresses. There's a lot of things we're combining into one for the sake of this, but it is something that I'm hoping will be not just something cool to look at. It's not just going to be, you know, ice in the Nether because that looks funny, although that's obviously something I enjoy the idea of a lot, but it's also hopefully going to be more than that. It's hopefully going to be something that looks stunning, that also has a lot of different uses in my survival world, because I feel like one of the cool things about Minecraft is you can have, as you know, you can design something wonderful if you want, as easy as you like in creative. That's a thing you can do there. In survival, you can make wonderful things, although it's a bit harder to get the resources. But one of the things I like about the survival game mode, one of the things I like about a lot of the things, you know, in this part of Minecraft, is that planning things together can make them synergize perfectly. When you plan two things that work together, you know, kind of like you're building a network of things that all exist together, and that's what I like about Minecraft. That's what I find cool, and that's what we're going to be working towards in today's video. So allow me to spend some time placing the packed ice that we need to make this first bit exist, this little stretch from here to up there, and to up there as well, of course. Okay, so a lot of flangling with the ice and the packed ice later, and now we've got ourselves a little ice fortress. As you can see, it looks kind of cool from the outside here. A little bit boxy, I'd say, but again, that's going to look much less so when we add what's coming next, because here's the interesting thing, actually. So even though it's not perfectly done, you can see how, besides the edges where we're not sure where we're going, it's pretty good. One of the things I started to realize is looking outside the ice and seeing the Nether is actually seriously cool. On the inside here, it looks like it should be a snowy climate. On the outside there, it looks like it's the Nether, because, fun fact, it is the Nether. But I feel like if we cover all of this with snow and ice, like I kind of wanted to, because we can place snow if we want to as well. I feel like if we cover it entirely with snow, we might lose that effect. It's just going to look a little too surreal, and that's why I want to kind of, unlike my previous terraforming the Nether project, which I have in fact done once and made the overworld there, I want this one to try and combine the two things together. We might fail, we might conclude that's awful, but the only place that I really want to entirely cover and you know, destroy that with is the lava here. This lava is dangerous. This lava is a threat to me. It's a threat to you. It's a threat to your family, probably. I mean, that's probably true. So what I want to do is I want to work on that down there, and then at the same time as that, placing just like maybe 5,000 blocks of packed ice might be fun, but also it might not be. It might be a little bit of a confusing thing. So at the same time, we're going to work on expanding these pathways, so it goes through there, and so it goes, for instance, because even though the fortress down here stops, I'm going to continue with a pretend fortress leading me over to there, so I can get to the blaze spawner, as well as I think what we also have to do, again, there's lots of pathways we have to kind of take this, but as well as you know, doing that, we also need to take the pathway in this direction so that it gets over to the other, fortress. So we need to do all of those things at once, and you'll kind of see the progress as it happens in big increments now. So survival project time. Here's like, 3,000 blocks of, maybe 2,000, maybe 1,000 even. Here's like several stacks of packed ice so far. Let's see what it looks like after a few more hours of, some quality survival time. The only awkward thing about extending it this way, in my opinion, is the fact that we're going to run into all of this netherrack. Again, the logical place to put a pathway would be down below, but because of the way boats work in Minecraft, and especially because of the fact that the only way to raise boats really, besides complex contrived machines, is using water. But you know what you can't have in the Nether? Water. Even if you let ice melt, it doesn't create water. It used to in a bunch of bugs, and it's funny, people are always like, hey, Toycat, have you tried just melting water? And it's like, yes! Everyone has tried just melting water. If that was the magic solution, there'd be so many more cool things. But no, instead, what we just do is we go on mine like this, pick up some netherrack that we can use for some form of other projects anyway, and yeah, we're going to make a tunnel kind of through the netherrack, but not entirely through the netherrack, and also it's going to get weird with this, so, it'll look like a weird pathway when we're done, but that's fine for me. So pretty predictably, when you're tunneling through netherrack, you're going to run into some lava. Everyone knows this is, part of the course. But one of the things you might not know is the fact that, even this fact that it makes no sense, won't stop you from actually removing lava using ice. We're actually messing up right now, but all you have to do is place lava where there previously was ice, or place ice where there was previously lava, and guess what? Magically it goes away. I love, again, even though this is just true for every Minecraft block, there's something funny about using the most counterintuitive ones. Like, I always got rid of water using torches back in the 360 days, and there's just something always amusing about being able to replace such an intimidating block with such a non-intimidating one. But anyway, we're here. We've made it through the netherrack, as you can see. We have to ice it up so boats can get here, but conveniently enough, this is an amazing coincidence. It happens to go right through into this nether fortress. So if we want, we can remove the floor from this one, and we can have like one icy fortress because it makes sense there, but here we can just have the floor be made out of packed ice, and that is a cool coincidence. Also, I haven't actually checked all these chests before, so 3 diamonds and horse armor and gold on my watch, because again, it's quite far away. And it's also, it's going under a mountain, so I hadn't been here before. I just knew it was here because I scoped the area out in preparation for this video. Fun fact, did you know I prepare these survival projects? It's almost like if you're going to spend 12 hours doing something, I've eventually learned that you should actually put some amount of thought into what you're about to do. By the way, I'm using all these efficiency 2 axes because I get them for free from a villager, or not for free, but for emeralds. It's a pretty convenient trade, but basically I'm using efficiency 2 axes, and it's incredible to me just how fast these can go as well, despite, again, level efficiency 2 seems like it's super low, but when it comes to mining netherrack, it turns out any level efficiency is way more than you're ever going to need. So there we go. We're here again. Also, since one of my favorite things to do in Minecraft is to help people with their sorts of builds, just in case you're one of those people who values ice quite dearly, maybe you haven't destroyed an entire biome, so you don't have it, by the caseload, but just in case you value your ice really dearly and you don't want to make, say, a 3-wide pathway, obviously you can't make a 1-wide pathway because boats won't fit in that. Again, they're slightly wider than 1 block, but what you can actually do, it's really weird that this works, but, it may make sense sort of when you think about it, is you can actually just, instead of having to make it 3-wide, like we're going to do the entire way, what you can do instead, if you wanted to save ice, is you can just remove the blocks on the side. Air blocks will count basically as ice for this purpose, like you can't go as wide, but the this 1-wide packed ice will work just fine, as I'll show you right now. Let's grab my nice orange boat, let's put it down, and I'll show you how, like, oh yeah, when it's going over like this, it's entirely fine. So I need to be clear that this won't work against the wall because we're using the clearance on both sides of it, but you can in fact do a 1 wide without anything on, with keeping blocks on the side, but then if you go a little too far to the left and the right, you will just immediately you'll slow down the blocks. Whereas if you have nothing on the side, you can actually go quite far off the edge like this without a problem. Whereas you can see that same thing is going to eventually slow me down. Although we just picked up a zombie pigman and we're in the ceiling too. So isn't that fun? Another thing the vast majority of you will know, but it's really handy to know just in case it's your first time, is if you have a lot of food and food isn't a care for you, what you can actually do is you can traverse these by foot a little faster than just running along them, because running is actually slightly slower on ice because of the friction difference, but what you can actually do instead is you can jump on the ceiling and you get like a super boost if you really want to, but again, as you can really tell looking at my hunger bar already, it's going to decrease it a lot faster than it otherwise would. So just be careful when it comes to that. But yeah, you can actually optimize these ice pathways, these pathways around anything, based on what you have a lot of and what you actually don't mind mining. I mined the ice because I enjoy destroying a biome. I had a lot of fun streaming it, and that was a thing I did on the channel. But in case you hate that particular part of Minecraft, the cool thing about the game is it has ingenious solutions you can work around for anything. So in case you don't like my particular solution, one will work better for you, but this is a project video. It's here to show you what I've decided to do, not the best end-all solution. Because, you know, chasing the best solution in a sandbox game that you're meant to do what you want to build is only going to end in ruins, right? Either way, though, my tunnel is pretty much done now, besides the side bits, and it's impressive just how close these things really are to each other. Like, you know, I mentioned it as part of this video, but just the distance between these two Nether fortresses, it is really, really good. Again, it's a reminder, in this case, you know, we lucked out on this, one, but if you do find two fortresses together, or two of any structure together, being able to link them together can be a really handy thing to do. Because, you know, again, a Minecraft seed is not unique by itself, it's unique when you do stuff with it. A good plan is not a good plan unless it links into everything else, and that kind of all ties into this. Look at the distance between these things. It goes from -13 over here on the X axis, as you can see in the top left. Oh Jesus! It goes from -13 all the way out, if we can do this correctly, over to, what is that, 98? So 111 blocks even between the one fortress and the other. That's really, really, really low. It's pretty nice, actually. Anyway, I know I said I was going to cover the lava and some ice, and I definitely want to get around to that. But first, what I want to do is I want to see what this looks like if I keep the, you know, because that's my main icy fortress. What if I keep the, you know, the Nether brick blocks like I've intended to do, and I replace the floor here? I have a feeling it's going to look either really good or really terrible, or maybe that perfect mix of both, where everyone hates it but I love it, which is my favorite place to be, because you get to annoy people on the internet, but also you get something you like. So, I actually kind of like it. It looks like a sleek design choice. Like, it looks almost like this is designed to be someone's house and it's a weird hallway through the Nether. But no, it's actually just a structure with ice along the ground so we can ride a boat along it. And yeah, I decided not to cover the entire thing in ice because that would actually stop mobs from spawning, which is one of the reasons we'd want to come back here regularly. I want to get me some wither skeletons. Also, somehow during the development of this, it seems as though another zombie pigman joined the one in there. So yeah, I had 2 zombie pigmen in a boat, which I will admit might be a first for Minecraft. Not many people are using boats in the Nether. For some reason, you know, wacky people. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to get in our boat and we're going to see how, like, oh yeah, we can ride around the fortress if we want to. It's a little bit silly in places, I'll admit that freely. But yeah, we've pretty much finished this, just a few bits to polish off, and now we can bring it back to the main fortress. Because again, this is kind of just a secondary benefit that I'm pretty bad with. But yeah, the main part of this is obviously all the way over here in the main one, which you can't bridge over. But yeah, I feel like most of the work needs to be done here now, both in extending the fortress, which is obviously going to be key so we can connect over to the other part of this same fortress, and obviously it's going to be in making this area look a bit snowy. And then I guess what we'll do first, because it's a lot of bulk effort, and you know what, I've gone evening free, why not, you know, like hang out on the internet and place a bunch of packed ice in this little bit down there. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. So now that I've placed my ice fortress for the most part up there, you can see how we've made a great modification to the fortress, but otherwise the area around it still very much looks nethery. It's an ice structure in the Nether, and I want this to be a more, you know, a bigger kind of modification, and that's why I figured this huge sea of lava we have down here, this huge square you can see right there, I think this would be a great example. So I want to carve a circle into that and kind of like remove all of the lava so that when we replace the rest of it with snow, because we could just have snow over the top of it, but it looked like we just placed snow on Netherrack, but no, I want it to be clear that we placed a lot of snow over lava, and to do that, we'll have a nice little circle carved out of it with glass. So we're going to do that right now. We're going to drain it by hand using buckets. It's going to take some time, and I'll get back to you when we finish that. So here is what it looks like after all is said and done, and I will say, I really like the end result. I feel like having snow layers, you know, here in the Nether next to Nether Fortress really is a jarring feeling. It feels like a weird snowy Nether biome that I will say is kind of, you know, odd to look at. Although I will definitely say, looking at it right here, it looks like it should go all the way around, and maybe that's something we should be doing. Also, here's a fun little bug that you might have spotted just there, where because of the way glass works in Minecraft, after a certain distance, it kind of goes a different texture, like a more solid white as opposed to transparent. And yeah, this leads to a very weird thing where basically the closer you are, the more accurate it looks, and the further away you are, the weirder it looks. But anyway, yeah, we're making pretty good progress. Now I intend to cover this area up here, this very Netherracky area on this side, as well as the same on the exact other side, because on the other side of the stronghold, you might notice we've got pretty much the same thing going on here too. My intention is to focus on this as well, because I've made a few stalactites in the ceiling. I think that adds to the vibe, but I feel like it's the floor and it's the things on the, you know, like it's mostly these areas right here you're going to see from the Nether Fortress that'll kind of add to the vibe. So I'm going to be placing a lot of snow around here right about now. Because on this side, as you can see, we've got a bunch of soul sand, a bunch of netherrack, a bunch of gravel, and you can kind of see that all over the place. Even though these stalactites are a nice installation for the ceiling, I feel like it's the floor and the immediate walls around the frozen fortress that are going to really add to the effect. So I want to cover it up with snow, with some ice, and indeed some packed ice, just to make it kind of look a little bit more blended between frosty and nethery. That's what I want to do for most of the land around here. Wait, let's do the thing where magically, right now, as you can see, we're looking at it like this. And now, all of a sudden, it's very snowy and icy, right? I mean, I wouldn't say it's beautiful, but I'd say it exists. So my next course of concern, besides perhaps covering this area right here in snow, which we definitely should do, because then we're going to have an ice fortress going into it, it makes sense that it itself should be snow. But another thing I feel like we should do is remove a lot of this one thick netherrack. Again, I think covering the netherrack to keep the natural shape while still being snowy is a great idea usually, but this sort of netherrack right here, one, just kind of gets in the way. I mean, it blocks the big stalactites we built, but two, it also has the secondary effect of just being kind of ugly when it's one thick. Really easy to remove, kind of ugly is the perfect candidate for why don't we just mine it away and put it straight into the lava that's just below it. I'll try and pick up as much of it as I can, but yeah, for now we're just going to remove most of this bridge and we're going to try and cover this area with snow at the same time, which should result in a lot less fiery and a lot more pleasant, snowy, happy dimension times. So let's see if that's true in just a minute. So now we've removed it, and you can see there's a pretty noticeable, difference in the gap there already, but we're going to go just another step further and remove the last few little floating islands in places like this right here. I mean, I'm standing on a block of, what is this, 4 netherrack? You know, I didn't really need to exist here in the first place, so it's fine that it's gone. So I think we've made some pretty great progress here, honestly. It's taken about 3.5 to 4 hours, but now the Nether is much more icy than it was before. It's not just a few ice features, it is mostly ice, although now the things that aren't covered, like the underside of that island or this place right here, they're particularly notable, so that's something I guess we have to work even more on. But yeah, I really like the kind of wintry feel we really can get in the Nether, and I've even decided to add a couple of pets to the pile, because guess what? Now we've got a Nether polar bear, and we've got ourselves a Nether rabbit. We're going to name them. This is Bree the bear, because he's white and he's soft, and also can kill you if you consume him in large enough quantities. Fun fact. I guess that's true for anything. Like, pretty much anything will kill you in large enough quantities besides, like, water. Nope, even water kills you, actually. Ignoring the fact that, like, an ice cube could crush your skull in. Also, you drink too much water, you die. Happens all the time. Real tragedy. So a few more hours of placing ice, snow, and indeed both of those things combined with some packed ice, and we've now got a pretty decent Nether cover on all of the surrounding islands for the most part. We'll do some slight improvements here and there, but the next big thing that I want to do, because every time now we've been surrounding it more and more, every time I look at this Nether fortress, I just think, man, there's a blaze spawner in there that's actually pretty darn cool. The blaze spawner will work no matter what blocks are below it, so why not convert a bit of that blaze spawner into maybe being surrounded by ice? And if we're doing that anyway, why don't we also, just on the same level, take this part of the fortress right here and convert it into some more chest room to store all of this ridiculous amount of ice, because we are getting ice on a ridiculous scale, just mining for hours at a time to fund this project. And I think by the time, I finish the iceberg biome, which I'm now recessing into the ground, we might have even more, and storing it in the Nether is probably a good idea, right? Or maybe that's a bad idea, but we're sticking with it anyway. So yeah, what we're going to do is we're going to take this area right here, kind of stack it up a little bit, and make a hopefully kind of nice chest room. And through the magic of the internet and about an hour and a half of work, we have now finished the chest room. It is this building right here. It's a bit different from the rest of the fortress. I wanted to add a little bit of flair to it while still keeping the vague feel of the Nether fortress, so it's still got the same style windows, for instance. But yeah, we have ourselves this nice little area right here with as much space for barrels as we want. For now, it's like 5 chests filled with things, so we have 5 barrels that we can use right here, and it's kind of floating above this lower room. I kind of like this aesthetic. I feel like we definitely need to add something else in here. It's a bit empty besides the barrels, but I'm liking it. Also, I feel like we should probably cover this rock up. But yeah, this is my nice little palace where my, my boxes full of ice can go, which is going to be essential here in the Nether, because I have so much ice that I'm mining. Whole separate project, you can see it if you want to. So it took me a lot more goofing around with scaffolding than I would have liked. I mean, there's so much scaffolding required to place blocks on certain walls and ceilings, but now we've placed a few blocks on the ceiling as well, and I really like this effect, even though it takes so long. I mean, just this and a few blocks over there was literally an hour and a half to 2 hours of my time. It was so much time required because I'm not as good with scaffolding as I'd like to imagine, but I think it's definitely a really nice effect to have ice on the ceiling, and I was considering leaving it at this, but it's kind of weird having such a small patch, so even though I don't want to cover all of the ceiling, I think we'll cover between these pillars at least to show that, like, yeah, the ceiling is cold at least where these pillars are at, and then we can kind of leave it after that, I think would be the most logical place. But yeah, that means that we'll spend a few more hours placing ice over there. We'll spend a few more hours placing snow down there in a slightly more consistent pattern, because I want to leave that open for some future project. And I think also this thing right here, because of its mess with the, the Netherrack, etc., I think this is something we should work on ASAP as well. So yeah, once we've done these things though, I think we'll have finished the icy Nether side of things. I am very excited that we're near the end of such a long, couple dozen hours of project. I'm going to add it all up at the end, by the way. But for now, I am excited, and let's get to the ceiling, let's get to the Nether fortress, and let's get to the ground, shall we? So now that we've caved and started working on the ceilings and finished a lot of the other parts of this, I really do think we've just got to do a little bit more ceilings, connect all the pillars together, and we've got ourselves a really nice part of the Nether here. Also, I feel like the access from this tunnel could probably be better. Like right now, it's kind of designed to look like it's a big stone structure going through a lot of different areas. And over here, even though it's kind of icy, it only looks a little bit. This is a little rough and we should improve this area as well. But besides that, I think we've pretty much nailed our icy Nether. So I guess now is as good a time as any to question directly why exactly did I spend 20 hours placing ice all over my Nether, not to mention the dozens of hours that I spent destroying the ice to actually do so. So let's give you a little bit of a tour around it and let's explain why embark on a project like this. Because the question that always is going to come up when you do something that's kind of big but also kind of silly is why, and the short answer is there doesn't need to be a reason why. I mean, you can do anything you want whenever you want, you don't need to justify it to strangers. Except this is in a YouTube video form, and hopefully I can inspire someone to take up a project of their own desire. Maybe it's this, maybe it's something related to the Nether, maybe it's entirely unrelated, but the cool thing about Minecraft is the ability to undertake these big projects. Almost the thing the game pushes you towards by default is to build giant things within it. You can focus on anything you like, and personally, I love the natural generation of Minecraft. You can tell this from the Seed Sunday, you can tell this from my focus and update videos. I love the exploration, and I love the natural generation of Minecraft because it is random, but there are certain trends that are fun to build with. I mean, everyone recognizes a desert temple, but everyone recognizes a desert temple that's been slightly changed. Everyone recognizes what the Nether looks like and a Nether fortress looks like, but they'll also recognize when it's been covered in ice, and they'll be able to see like, wow, that's a cool part of the world. And in this case, they'll mean it literally, right? Ha ha ha, I'm very funny. But no, having like cool big monuments like this in your Nether, especially my Nether where I use it for transportation so much between different parts of the world, it just kind of makes sense that the part of my world which is linked to the ice islands, the part of my world that is linked to these other things should be covered in ice itself. But the truth of the matter is I just wanted to do something big in the Nether. I love these terraforming projects, and I feel like in the overworld you can only terraform so much and do something so unique. But with the Nether, I mean, you know, the Nether, when you make it look like the overworld, is already quite impressive. But what if we took the Nether and we made it exactly the opposite? I love contrasts. I love doing things that make people look at them and go, huh, what's the deal with that? That's why my sugarcane farm is manual and goes all the way to sky height. It's more impressive, even if it's less efficient than just an automatic sugarcane farm that you can set up in 1/100th the time, because Minecraft is about the projects you want to do and, you know, the effect you want to have on the world. And personally, the effect I want to have on the world is a series of Nether terraforming projects. This is the second one. Will there be a third one? I mean, probably yes. I really want to take the area opposite my, my icy Nether fortress, and I want to turn it into a big blackstone thing, maybe even a recycling of a piglin bastion. There's a lot of ideas that I've had over the course of making this, but the truth is, when it comes to Minecraft, the reason I work on big projects is because although working on big projects can seem super weird when you're in the midst of them, I mean, even trying to explain this one to people while I was doing it was one of the endless tasks, the endless questions that was hard to do, but once you finish it, you have something that's really cool that's yours forever to keep. I have a long-term survival world. I'm going to see this icy Nether for as long as it does last, because I really do think, I want to mention this, that at some point they're going to update the Nether so that it can't reasonably sustain ice. When is that going to be? Hopefully not 1.16, hopefully not too soon, but this Nether will at one point break, and that is a tragedy, but until then I can enjoy it for as long as I like. I can enjoy the part of my Nether which is connected to the frozen parts of my overworld. I can enjoy that being frozen as well, with the freezing kind of seeping through the portal. It's a reverse thing from the Nether portals, which are surrounded by a bunch of Nether blocks, and I kind of love it on that level. I kind of like the fact that it's subverting people's expectations, and honestly, you can express yourself in whatever way in any whatever project you like in Minecraft, but the only thing I hope that you do as a result of this video is that you hopefully take upon your own big survival project, and if you want, take progress pictures, because the thing I realized from recording these is I really love seeing the progress of the thing as it slowly comes into being, and maybe you do too. If you want to see more of these videos, I admit there aren't many survival projects done in a year because these do take months. The first one was actually started in January of this year because, again, there was lots of ice collection that had to be done between bits, and also, you know, I do a lot of other projects at the same time as this one. I have too many projects on the go at one point, and hopefully being able to finish one and showing it to all of you is something you enjoy, and yeah, you can check the rest out on this channel. An idea I've been thinking about a lot recently would be destroying an entire piglin bastion and then using the blocks for something. Let me know if you think that would be a fun idea, but for now, thank you for watching, because I'll see you all next time. Have a nice day. Goodbye.